With this recent global crisis shutting down productions, delaying theatrical releases, and closing theme parks, it's no question that Hollywood could be looking at a $12 billion hit. Not only will the entertainment industry change from this, but audiences may never be the same either. What's going on, movie lovers, and welcome to Top 10 Beyond the Screen. My name is Johnny Rogers, and if you happen to be new here, we cover everything from celebrities and influencers to television and movies, so if you're down with that, then just tap that subscribe button to join our notification squad. And make sure you stay all the way until the end because you won't believe our #1 spot. Now, without any further delay, let's get right into our list of the top 10 ways Hollywood will change after the global crisis. In at number 10, theme parks. Disney, along with Universal Studios, have decided to close the doors on their theme parks as of March 12th. As this pandemic quickly began to grow in the United States, many people ignored the government telling them to stay away from large crowds. California's Disneyland, for example, was packed with tourists, with Disney's first response to this outbreak being install more Purell machines. However, that proved to not be nearly enough as they made the difficult decision to shut down for the 4th time in history since opening in 1955. At first it was just the parks, but soon enough they closed all of their hotels as well. This virus is going to have a bizarre ripple effect though on the way that theme parks are run. Following them reopening, we may see increased safety measures such as the closure of their on-site theaters and social distancing when it comes to lining up for a roller coaster, as if the lines at Disney weren't already long enough. In at number 9, smaller cast and crews. After massive shutdowns to movie sets around the world, thousands of hardworking film crew members were suddenly out of work. I've worked on film sets before, and the sheer amount of people that it takes to film even one scene would just boggle the average person's mind. There are people constantly coming into close contact with one another, from the hairdresser to the person even holding the boom mic. Netflix said that they were going to be establishing a $100 million relief fund for workers in the worldwide creative community that have been affected by this pandemic. The reality is, when these cast and crew members return to work, there may be fewer jobs than before. If production companies really want to slow the spread of any future outbreaks of this virus again, they will be forced to decide what roles for filming are essential and which are non-essential. Some of those roles may be things like background acting that can just be CGI'd in later on. In at number 8, self-tape auditions. In light of new federal regulations restricting public gatherings around the world, producers have been told to cancel all of their scheduled auditions. Spring is typically a very busy casting season for principal auditions and chorus auditions for Broadway. Although with concerns of people getting sick and then being that close to each other in a small room, they may need to rethink their options. Even after the pandemic has calmed down and we see the numbers dropping, it's going to be difficult for Hollywood to return to business as usual. It simply is no longer the case that we can continue holding auditions like this. The safer and perhaps less time-consuming option would be to have actors send in self-tapes. It's already a practice that most low-budget productions utilize to save money, but it may be something that everyone will need to adopt from here on out. In at number 7, the end of award shows. With theaters closing, many people don't realize the butterfly effect that this will have. Most people in Hollywood still believe that to even qualify for an Academy Award, the film must have been shown in a theater. What they don't realize is that even the award show communal experience may be over. Franklin Leonard is the founder of the Blacklist for unproduced screenplays, and he said, "I'm an associate member of the Academy, and it's my belief that the Oscars and the Academy generally should be about celebrating exceptional motion pictures wherever they exist. The notion that the Oscars should be limited to films that get an exclusive theatrical window is, to me, limiting the number of films that can be considered based on their artistic merit. It truly is dinosaur thinking to believe that we still need movie theaters. The times are a-changing, and so must the award shows. In fact, the 74th annual Tony Awards was just postponed amid scares of spreading the virus, a decision that we may see other major award shows making when the time comes." In at number 6, increased on-set safety. Safety measures on movie sets are already very important to maintain the health of both the cast and the crew. Although these safety precautions have always been in regards to the dangerous equipment that people are working with or around while shooting a scene. Everything from, planned explosions to simply the spotlight hanging above the actor falling from the rafters. Now, with the spread of a virus that can be transmitted so easily, we're going to see a massive ramp up in the cleanliness safety precautions. Everything from constantly washing your hands to Purell stations on every corner, and perhaps most of the crew wearing gloves and masks. It's going to be a lot to adjust to, but if it means flattening the curve for future pandemics, it's what everyone in Hollywood needs to do. In at number 5, widespread layoffs. This is a bit of a continuation of these smaller cast and crew sizes, but I felt it was important to touch on the impact again. Widespread layoffs in the entertainment industry is going to have a devastating impact on not just the economy, but how many films will be made in the future. As I mentioned earlier, the safety of cast and crew will come down to some very difficult decisions from the higher ups. They will have no choice but to filter out what jobs are absolutely necessary to complete a film. The sad reality is that there is a lot of cast and crew jobs that are just not an essential service. Even if they were to implement new safety measures, layoffs are still more than likely. Hollywood is going to take a big hit from this pandemic, and unfortunately it may put a lot of smaller production companies out of business. A lot of these companies have been already running on very small margins, and when there's no work, there's no money to pay the staff or even to keep the lights on. In at number 4, YouTubers take over. Since the beginning of YouTube, creators around the world have used the site to take control of their creative endeavors and produce content that they enjoy. It certainly changed the idea of the qualifications to be considered a celebrity, but I believe it's going to change Hollywood even more. With so many actors depending on other people to supply them with the scripts, the crew, the locations, YouTubers may be the only ones left that can just create. Think about it. A YouTuber has never needed much to produce content that people enjoy, and an overwhelming number of creators can and have already been making their videos from home. Case in point. I don't know how Hollywood will exactly leverage this now powerful resource, but I do strongly believe that YouTubers are about to fully take over the entertainment industry. In at number 3, more animated films. As I mentioned, moving forwards from this pandemic will undoubtedly mean smaller cast and crews for shooting movies. Another option that not too many people are talking about right now, though, would be animated films. The whole process of creating a cartoon is much more isolated than shooting a scene on location. For animation, you can have the actors record their lines from home and even Skype in with the director if they have any questions, and the animators could also be working from home provided that they have the proper equipment, of course. But if Hollywood is smart, they'll realize that they can save a ton of money this way. By cutting down on crew sizes and reallocating their funds to setting up at-home production work for projects, that'd be huge. Additionally, if they really wanted to use, say, an actor's likeness in a movie that you don't really get from animation, why not lean on the CGI technology that we have? If they invest more money into better CGI, that may be the future of movies and television. You simply would have to just get each actor in a role to be scanned like they do for video games, and then have them record their lines. It'll drastically cut down on the time to learn lines, and may even produce more films than ever before. In at number 2, straight to streaming. Now, I only ever went to the movie theaters if it was cheap night or if I absolutely couldn't wait for something to be released online. Other than that, most millennials prefer streaming services over going to a crowded movie theater. Even before the pandemic, the idea of the movie theater was slowly beginning to crumble in comparison. Netflix is $12 a month and gives you access to hundreds of movies to watch from the comfort of your own home. If you had a family and wanted to go out for, say, date night to the movies, think about the costs involved in that just alone. Babysitter for your kids, finding parking, high ticket prices, expensive popcorn, and then on top of all that, you can't even sit next to your loved one on date night. Now will be the true test if streaming services have become the new movie theater. Due to the virus spreading so rapidly, theaters around the world have shut their doors, and many production companies have announced that their theatrical releases will be moving straight to Netflix. Luckily, companies like Disney have already gotten ahead of the curve when creating Disney Plus, so they can just at least stream their own releases and not see too much of a loss in regards to hosting the content. But leave me a comment down below if you think you'll still want to go out to see a movie in the theater when this is all over, or do you prefer that they just put everything on streaming platforms, because that's where I'm going with it. I think streaming platforms are king, and I think if I go to the movie theater, I'm going there like Bubble Boy. Last but not least, in our number 1 spot, the end of cable TV. For the longest time, cable and satellite television networks ruled the entertainment industry. A small number of companies had complete control over televised broadcasting as a result. Although when Idris Elba was interviewed by Oprah Winfrey through Apple TV rather than on a talk show, people started to wonder why they were still paying for their cable bill. Due to these companies having a monopoly over television services, they could hike up prices to ridiculous numbers. Some people were paying hundreds of dollars a month to keep their TV channels, most of which they never even watched. That was always the TV company's scam. They sell you on a package knowing that you only want a few channels. Then when major sports agencies started canceling their seasons, people were canceling cable left, right, and center. It may be time that we lay the cable and satellite TV companies to rest and move into the future. And that has been the top 10 ways Hollywood will change after the global crisis. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to our editors for making me look so good. If you enjoyed this video, show us some love here by tapping that like and subscribe button. Plus, don't forget to leave us a comment down below with your thoughts on this list. Plus, for more videos like this one, all you gotta do is tap that playlist when it pops up from Top 10 Beyond the screen. My name is Johnny Rogers saying until next time, stay safe out there.